Okay, honey, you ready?
I'll set my love. Please envelop this entity so completely in love that all needs, wants, and desires are chosen.
And greetings.
Greetings, wonders.
Greetings, Maggie.
Would you please go to whom, to where, and to when you are directed? Would you please locate your facilitator, Maggie McGuffin Gadet, on December 12th, 2006?
Yes, we have you.
We are gathered here at 8361 11th Line, RR number 2, in the town of Thornton, in the province of Ontario, to do a reading for the Wonders Hour radio show. May we begin?
Please?
Thank you, Wonders. Well, today's show is on concepts, and we're going to explore the first defining statement. So,
So,
may we explore?
of course you may.
Okay.
What would you like from us?
Oh, just to explore the first defining statement with us. Yes.
You would like us to explore it.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't quite say that the right way around, but I'll explore with you.
In that case, then, what does it mean to you? Let's first state the defining statement. The first defining statement is existence is but an extension of yourself.
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
It means that everything I am is an extension that is existence. For example, if I'm afraid, then there's the fear around me. If I'm, what I create is who I am.
Well, now you're getting in touch with it. Because basically, think of it this way. Everything you see around you, your house, your cars, your TV sets, your kids, your clothes, your job, your career, the way you see people interacting with you, your boss who sometimes likes you and sometimes doesn't, everything, you see, really exists because of the way you yourself perceive. Understand something, first and foremost. And there are a number of layers here to explore. But the first layer we're going to explore is this layer that we call an illusion that you call reality. You see everything around you as real. You see your life as real. Do you see?
Yes.
But in truth, it's nothing more than an illusion created by your perceptions, isn't it? If you perceive yourself as where people don't like you, all of a sudden you go around and people don't like you. If you perceive yourself a victim, then you become a victim. If you perceive yourself powerful, then choices you make create that perception of power, don't they?
Yes.
Or reinforce it. Whether it be as a bully or whether it be as someone who's capable of forcing people to do things. Do you think?
Yes.
There's always that perception then, isn't there?
Yes.
So really, every one of your perception will, in effect, infuse themselves into the choices that you make. It'll infuse itself into your psychology, into the way you think, into every belief structure that you have, and of course, those will limit the choices you make, don't they? So now, virtually everything you do, everything you think, everything you see, everything you feel becomes a reflection of you, doesn't it?
Yes.
And in so doing, then, when you look around you and you start to admire your handiwork, you start to realize that you've created an environment in which to exist that is conducive to who you perceive yourself to be. Do you think? So if you think of yourself as not good enough, we call it insufficient. Well, then your environment reflects that, doesn't it?
Yes.
All of a sudden, you don't get the job that you wanted to get because you're not good enough. You don't get the car that you really want because you're not good enough. You don't make the money you wanted because you're not good enough. You don't get the presents you wanted because you're not good enough. You don't get the relationship you want because you're not good enough. You don't get the love that you want from people because you're not good enough. You don't get the love of your parents, the love of your siblings, the love of your of someone else because you're not good enough. Even your relationship to what some religious people would call the relationship to God becomes a relationship whereby it reflects that you're not good enough. You ask God for something and you don't get it. So you think to yourself you're not good enough. Do you see how that works? So everything becomes a reflection of your perception of yourself that you're not good enough. Do you see?
Yes.
And, of course, it's true, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not good enough.
Yes.
You're not good enough to see yourself good enough.
Yes.
And because you're not good enough to see yourself good enough, well then, virtually everything around you says that to you.
Yes.
Do you see?
Yeah.
Now, because not being good enough or seeing yourself as not good enough isn't 100% absolute within yourself, there's always little parts of you that thinks that those little parts are good enough. Do you see?
Yes.
Your reality around you doesn't reflect in absolute terms that you're not good enough. It reflects in the majority of things that you're not good enough, but there's always little things that come up that says you're good enough. Do you see? And those little things are there because there's a little part inside of you that says, yeah, this little part is good enough. And when you see that little part and that event, that circumstance around you that says that you're good enough, it's a reminder that there are things inside of you that are good enough and a lot of things that you see as not good enough. Do you see?
Yes.
And when that happens, then you can start to open yourself to the possibility of changing the way you see yourself. Now, a lot of what we've given through these particular radio shows, and certainly a lot of what we've expressed, and that's available on all of the series that we've done, will lead you to come to new realizations about yourself. That you are good enough. That there's more of you that's good enough. Do you see? Now, again, even if you were to change a good perspective of yourself, a good portion of your perspectives, and say to yourself that you are good enough and know that, there would still be little parts of you that would say not good enough. And so even though the majority of your life would be now reflecting as good enough to you, there would still be little parts of you that would say not good enough. And so there would be little failures here and there, wouldn't there?
Yes.
Little things you couldn't accomplish here and there.
Yeah.
You see? And if you looked at that and said to yourself, well, obviously that's because I don't see myself as good enough, then you could also change that, couldn't you? So then every choice you make would be reflective of who you are, wouldn't they?
Yes.
And eventually you'll start to realize that this is how life is created around you. For example, let's say you get a dog and the dog begins to reflect your personality. Why? Because basically the dog is an extension of yourself. You see? If you're a gentle person, you have a gentle dog. If you're a mean person, you have a mean dog, don't you?
Yes.
Just the way you are, the interaction you have with the dog, the way you train the dog. Do you think?
Yes.
You cannot change yourself if you cannot by pretending to change the world around you. Do you think? You must change yourself and the world around you will change.
Yes.
This is why we constantly say to people, look at yourself. Not to see yourself as the center of the universe or the center of everything around you, but look at yourself and realize that by looking at yourself and observing yourself and appreciating yourself and shifting who you are, how you perceive yourself, you then will change everything around you. How many people go around and see themselves as poor?
Many.
Yes. They don't have they're not good enough to make money. They're not good enough to accept more. Do you see? So when they look at themselves, they say, I'm not good enough to accept more. Well, guess what? They don't get a whole lot of more around them, do they?
No.
And what they do get, they see themselves as not good enough, so they don't ever accept it, do they?
Exactly.
So why would the universe give you a whole abundance of money, as an example, when you see yourself as not being good enough to accept anything? So think about it. Would you look at opportunities that would give you money? Would you put yourself into a circumstance where there is money? How many people do you know that look at somebody and they say, man, that guy's got the Midas touch. Everything he touches makes money. Well, why does everything he touches make money? Because he sees himself good enough to make money. Do you think?